Hello, my name is Joshua Davis, and this is my industry expert review assignment. After the recommendation of a classmate, Rocco, to check out the podcast Barely Legal by Joe Escalante, I decided to go with that because I know who Joe Escalante is. He is the bassist for a band called The Vandals, and he also owns his own label, which the Vandals are signed to. So I thought I would check that out, and I thought it was actually a very interesting podcast, and I'm going to discuss that a little bit today. So this is Joe Escalante, and it was about an hour long podcast, and the premise of this show is he talks about some things that are going on in the world and of law and entertainment law, and he has people call in with legal questions about how to get how to copyright their songs, or how to stay out of trouble if they're using someone else's logos or whatever for their own means. So all of that was very informative, but the biggest chunk of the show was about Kelly Clarkson. She has a new song out called the Heartbeat Song, I think was the name of it. And according to Joe Escalante, this song is very, very similar to a song from the late 90s or around 2000 called The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. And Joe was very adamant about this. He felt very strongly about it, and he presented a very good argument. He played both songs, little segments of each one after the other. He played them back and forth to try and show you how they were very comparable. Now, maybe I'm crazy and I don't claim to know as much as Joe Escalante, of course, but I didn't feel like they were really that similar. I could see that there were similarities, or hear rather, um, but not enough that I would think it was a direct infringement of The Middle by Jimmy Eat World, and especially if no one had told me this beforehand. And so I did a little experiment with my fiance. We were in the car, and I said, I want you to listen to this song. And I played her the little bit of Kelly Clarkson song. And I said, does that remind you of anything? Does it sound like something you've heard before? And she said, no. And I said, okay. And I kind of explained the situation to her, and I played some of the Jimmy Eat World song. And I said, now do you think so? And she said, no, not really. So then we did it again. We listened to both of them, one after the other. And she said, no, I really don't think that I would think that. And I agree with that. But Joe said he just thought that it was just absurd that this had not been made into an infringement case. And he, like I said, felt that this was direct infringement. And something that I learned about during the podcast was what you need for an infringement case. And he talked about how it's you have to have substantial similarities, and in his opinion, this is exactly the same. And he says that someone has definitely ripped off Jimmy Eat World. And again, I disagree. I mean, I could be wrong, but he said there needed to be substantial similarities, and there are some. I don't feel that I would say it's substantial. And he also talked about how you must have access, and that was sort of referring to if someone was around when the song was written, and could they have taken this for their own at the time. And he even went back to talk about how one of the writers of the songs was a manager of a band that did a tour with Jimmy Eat World 10 or 15 years ago. And in my opinion, that's a little bit kind of reaching a little bit there. But again, I don't know nearly as much as he does, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, very interesting podcast, and I really enjoyed listening to it, and I will probably listen to more of Joe's podcast. I did not know that he did a show. So, anyway, thank you very much.